Hi guys. This is just a little helpful video if you're a little confused on what to do with Scratch here. We're doing the Scratch 2 name animation assignment. And for this assignment, you are to create an animation for your name. And I say that it's a sprite for each letter of your first and last, but some of you have different names. So I just want to see a total of 10 letters for me to grade off of. That way it's pretty even for everybody. And that's not 10 random letters. That'll be your name generally spelled out as much as you can with 10 letters. And then you can use different events like clicking on something or typing a letter on a keyboard. So I want you can mix in events. We'll look at that in a minute. Those events being the events that trigger your code. Last time we used the keyboard press and also the when this sprite clicked buttons. And then this will allow you to experiment with motion and sound as well as look. So you'll have quite a bit of creative license here. Full points will only be given if you use something for motion, looks, and sound and have a background. As you can see on the rubric here, all this stuff adding together to make a total of 20 points. Of course, if anything's missing, I'll be forced to take some points off. So let's jump in here and see what this could look like. So first off, the background, because that's the easiest part. So the background section is over here on the right side. And just like with sprites and costumes, you're able to upload backdrops, pick a random one, draw one yourself, or choose one that already exists. So I'm going to choose one that exists. How about this one? Hill. Cool. So there's my background. So just like that, your background could be done. You could upload something. I'd like to say to upload something that has to do with you as a person, but I'm not going to require that, although that would make it a little bit more interesting if you uploaded some photo of your dog or something like that. You don't have to feel the need to get too personal though. Now in regards to the sprites, in case you forgot from last time, this is where the sprites go down here. And right now we have none. And I'm going to go, I currently have this named Scratch 1. I'm going to rename it to Scratch 2 because that's what it is. Choose a sprite, and I'm just going to pick from the letters that already exist like I did before. My first name is Wyatt, so I'll pick a W, put that up here. Now, let's grab an event. So in this case, I'm just going to use the when flag clicked. Now, if you wanted, for example, something for all of the sprites would do something at the same time. So if you had all 10 letters up here, if you wanted them all to do something at the same time, you could use this when flag clicked. And then when you click the flag, every sprite would have some code executed on them. So that's one way to get that done. But you can also use these. And there's other events as well, but we'll be talking about those more in the future, so you don't necessarily have to use them. But the events you should be comfortable with will include these three here. But we're going to mess with just the flag for now for this simple demonstration. And so we need to mess with the looks, the motion, and the sound. So let's take a look at motion because you guys have already messed with the other two, and we will go over them, but I just want to take a look at motion first. Let's look at some of these blocks. Well, we don't need to worry about that. Go to glide, point direction. Then we have change X, set X. But so as you can see, we have quite a bit of options when it comes to moving. And each of them does something slightly different. So if I say move 10 steps, well, let me go ahead and pull those apart. That means that the object will move 10, steps, but 10 units in whatever direction it's facing. Now, if I look over here on my sprites page, I can see that it's currently facing 90 degrees, which means it's facing to the right. So if I click the green flag, it's going to move 10 steps to the right. There it goes, 10 steps. Excuse me, 10 steps is not a lot. So I have to click the flag over and over and over again to get it to go over there. Okay, so there's that. And then we have our turn 15 degrees, which does exactly what it sounds like. It just rotates the object 15 total degrees every time I click the flag. Whoops. Let's set the rotation back. You'll notice that when I go to edit the direction, there's this wheel that lets me choose the direction, but I can also just type in 90. Now the go to position. Now I can put in various positions here actually. Actually, let me not do go to random position. Let's have, and you can have go to other sprites. So like I could put, if I have two sprites, we'll pretend Avery matters. Okay, I could say go to Avery and it would go directly to Avery. The thing about go to is it's a teleport. Go to will teleport your thing. Go to XY position. You can type in a specific XY position for a teleport, which is really useful for resetting your position, by the way. So you might want to be aware of this go to XY. That way, so you can check to see like, okay, my object starts at negative 160, 126, which is what it currently has in here. So I can take this, and if I put it at the end of my code, it will reset itself after it finishes its animation. So this is a really useful tool. Glide, and right now I have glide towards random, but let me grab this one instead. Gliding is not a teleport. Gliding means, slide across or animate across to a specific point. So we'll do an example of the reset. Throw those away because we already went over them. Let's say take 2 seconds to glide to, let's see, how about 200x, and we'll just keep the y value the same, and then it'll return after it gets there. So it'll take 2 seconds to get there, and then it teleports back. See that? Now without the teleport back part, then it just glides over there. But if I add that, go to x, it glides, and then it pops back. So go to is a teleport, and glide is a sliding animation. Now we also have point in direction. So if you change the rotation of a letter, point in direction is different from, of course, the turn by X number of degrees, because point direction is like the equivalent of a teleport. It will snap to whatever rotation you put in. So if I put point direction 90 degrees, then I'm allowed to change the rotation and it will snap back to 90, and I can snap it any way I want. And now we have individual change X and set X. So change X by 10 would mean to add 10. It's a lot like move 10 steps, except it doesn't, when you use change X, it doesn't matter what direction your sprite is facing in. So even though mine's facing, like if I make it face 180 degrees, so it's facing down, if I used move 10 steps, it would move this way by 10 steps. But if I use change X by 10, that just changes the X position, which is, of course, only on this horizontal line. So it will just move 10 steps along the X axis. And that's what change X by does. Change X by 10 is also instantaneous. There's no animation there. And there's also set X to a specific number, and the same thing applies for Y, by the way, but set X to negative 167 would instantly move the X value. Like if I put 200 in here, and then I can go ahead and do this. This will instantly move my object to the 200x position. So that's what that does. Whoops, I can't type. There we go. Move that back, set this back to 90. All right, so that covers motion. That was a lot to go over, but that handles all of the motion stuff. Now, looks-wise, you guys have already seen in here, but let's just talk really quickly about some of the stuff that we have. Let me go ahead and get rid of Avery. The difference between say and think works the same way as this, but the difference between say for 2 seconds and say hello is that when I do say for 2 seconds, the execution of the code will pause for 2 seconds before before continuing, and then the hello will disappear. If I just do say hello, it will keep saying hello, well, basically forever until I tell it to stop. So it's actually usually better to use this top one unless you need it to say something for a long, well, very long period of time until you stop it or something. We've also switched costumes. I don't really need to talk about this one too much. You just have to create costumes in here to be able to switch costumes, the same as we did in our last assignment. You can also just go next costume, which will just cycle through the costumes. And you can also change the backdrop in here. I know this isn't the looks thing, and normally the code we write only applies to the sprite, but in this case, this allows the sprite to change the background. This changes the scale, so change size by 10. That would increase the size by 10 every time I click the flag, so it just gets bigger. Put that back to 100. There we go. You can also do size as a percentage. So like right now it's 100%, but I could change it to 200% to double its size. Now we have this change color. And if I do change color effect by 25, it changes to green. Now I could get this to do quite a bit. There's also different stuff you can do, like this whirl effect to twist it up. I can hit stop to turn it back to normal. But you have quite a few little options. Obviously the ghost makes it more transparent. Pixelate it makes it look weird. So you have quite a few options there. And by the way, you can hit stop to like undo these change effects, but if you move your sprite, hitting stop will not reset its position for whatever reason. So you will need to reset it manually. Just to be aware of that. Okay, grab this color change effect. We can also set the color effect to some level. So like set color effect to 80 or something like that, and then click the flag and it turns blue. So this will just add a color to it. I don't think we need to mess with, there's also this clear graphics effect. So you can't see it happening, but it's turning blue and then immediately clearing it. So there's your options with looks. Now for sound, we already know about recording sounds. I'm going to go ahead and delete the meow and put like this is an example recording. Now if I jump back to my code, play sound recording 1 until done versus start sound recording 1. So if I say play sound until done, that means that any code that comes after this block has to wait until it's done playing. So let's say like so now it'll have to play the whole recording and then it'll do the fisheye effect.
This is an example recording.
And then it does the fisheye. Now if I hit stop, if instead I did start sound, then it's able to do the fisheye effect while the sound is playing.
This is an example recording.
So that's the difference between those two. You can also cancel any sound that happens to be running. You can change pitch effects. You can directly set pitch effects. You can change volume and set volume as a percentage. So you have quite a few options when it comes to stuff. Hopefully this clears up what some of the differences between the items are. If you have any questions, obviously I'll be here to answer them via email. So feel free to just email me to get questions answered. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get this done, and good luck.